Yeah, I feel like this was one of the first like war movies I watched that wasn't war propaganda of like just looking back on it now 25 years later, some of the names that you see pop up, you're like, oh, yeah, that person's in this, that person's in this. Like,
Yeah, when I'm watching this, I'm like, that guy's in Sons of Anarchy. He's pretty badass
yeah.
in that movie. And I was like, oh, hey, look, Jamie Lannister.
Welcome to the commentary booth where we watch, and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator, Jamie Apps, and reporting for duty alongside me each week is my colour commentator, Corrina Mabey.
I'm proud of you for that. Yay. Go you. I can't.
Ooh-ah.
I cannot. Don't. I cannot with you. That was awful. I'm going to apologize in advance for any offensive things that he might do or say. Yeah. Nope. I can't.
So if you hadn't noticed, this week we have a military theme as we're returning to the battlefield and commemorating the 25th anniversary of the war epic Black Hawk Down. This film tells the story of 160 elite US soldiers who dropped into Mogadishu in October 1993 to capture two top lieutenants of a renegade warlord, but found themselves in a desperate battle with a large force of heavily armed Somali soldiers. Directed and produced by Ridley Scott, co-produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, with a screenplay from Ken Nolan. The film is based on Mark Bowden's 1999 non-fiction book, so this is about true events, obviously dramatized for cinematic effect. Before we dive into it, what is your history and thoughts on Black Hawk Down?
I think I saw this movie when it originally released 25 years ago, and it was probably the last time I ever watched it. These are not my forte of films. Generally, I do not vibe with any kind of military film because it's just, I fall asleep with them usually. It's really hard to follow for me. But yeah, it's a like...
You fall asleep in the movies with lots of explosions and gunfire. You are...
It's a different type. There's so many... My problem is that like it's so... the pacing of it is a little rough for me, especially with like so many like politics involved with it. Like, do we go? Do we not go? Do we have permission? Do we not have permission? Versus something like a James Bond movie where, I guess that's a kind of bad example because some people find those boring, but they're more like fast paced and like there's not like a ask for permission kind of way about it. It's just a balls to the walls kind of moment.
Is that why you connect this one? Because this one is non-stop.
It's nonstop, but again, it's the same thing. Like the pacing of it is a little bit rough for me, but I've just come to like understand that is the majority of like war-esque films or sequences like that. But other than that, I mean, it's up until yesterday, I kind of totally forgot it was directed by Ridley Scott, who is one of my favorite directors, and the fact that Jerry Bruckheimer co-directed it is even crazier to me. So that's a big, those are two big names behind this movie, and then the cast is like super stacked too. So yeah,
the cast is ridiculous.
It's absolutely nuts. The amount of people that are in this and how like little they are. So that's what I really remember about this movie is that spoiler alert, like Orlando Bloom dies, and that is ingrained in my brain. Like he had like a whole like 10-minute screen. His character was like 10 minutes on screen time, and then he just like died, and I was like, man, what a crappy kind of first film as a breakout role for you. But that was like the ultimate thing that always stuck in my head about this movie. So there are very monumental moments in this film that are that everybody kind of remembers, even though it's not my normal cup of tea.
Yeah, so I think I probably watched this, I think yesterday was probably maybe the fourth or fifth time. Yeah, I love these sort of movies and watched it when it first came out. But again, like it's been a while since I watched it, so there was a lot that I'd forgotten. And yeah, just looking back on it now, 25 years later, some of the names that you see pop up, you're like, oh, yeah, that person's in this, that person's in this. Like, sort of the main ones like Josh Hartnett, Ewan McGregor, Tom Sizemore, like you mentioned, Orlando Bloom, Jason Isaacs. This was Tom Hardy's first film role as well. Tom Hardy's in this. It was Eric Bana's first US film. So, like, pretty nuts the amount of people that are in this.
Yeah.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau,
Jamie
aka
Lannister.
Jamie Lannister from Game of Thrones is in it. Jeremy
Yeah.
Piven, Ty Burrell.
Every time I looked, every time there was a new scene and every time a new character arrived, I was like, that's the person from this. That's the person from that. So some of these people's names like do not register with me because I am a visual person. So I am a face person. I recognize your face more than I will your name all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I'm watching this, I'm like, that guy's in Sons of Anarchy. He's pretty badass
Yeah.
in that movie. And I was like, oh, hey, look, Jamie Lannister. Like, Josh Hartnett, obviously. Like, I feel like this movie probably coincided or came out right around the same time as Halloween H2O for him. So he
It
was
was
on
just after Pearl Harbor, and he was like
Yeah.
questioning whether he should do 2 back-to-back war epics.
Yeah, this was
But I
like his
think
prime,
It was
I
when
think.
it was when he saw that it was Ridley Scott, and then read the script. He was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it." I'll do
Yeah,
another one.
Josh Hartnett, I think, was really in his prime for how young he was. And so this was like when everybody was on that craze of like, he's got that cute face and like all the girls are swooning over him. So let's put him in a bunch of stuff. But yeah, no, there's so many people in this movie. I just can't get over how young they are and how well they came across screen.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones where just go on Google and like look up the Black Hawk Down cast and just look at all those profile photos and like, oh yeah, I know that guy, I know that guy, I know that guy.
Every single person. And I did not know that Tom Hardy was in this. I don't even think I could have picked him out in here because he probably looks so completely different compared
He's
to what he
just
does
so
now.
generic soldier guy.
Yeah. And they all have like the standard like jarhead kind of like high and tight haircut that all military members usually have. So yeah, it's very strange.
There's also a fun little moment too where Eric Bana's wife and child are in this film.
Is that the one where he like calls them or where like random guy like calls? Oh, okay.
There's a soldier looking at a photo of his family back home.
Mm-hmm.
They actually forgot to take a photo.
Oh.
So that once they got onto set, they're like, ah, crap, we don't have the photo that we need for that scene. And Eric Bana's family was with him to
That's
film
awesome.
this. So they were like, can they take a photo and use that photo? And they were like, yeah, okay.
That's funny. I like that. Those are the kind of fun facts that I think are just so fun when we rewatch these movies and you like you deep dive into most of them and you just find like little stupid facts like that. I think are just so fun.
Yeah, so that was a fun little moment where I was like, like, whoops.
Yeah.
Especially for producers of Jerry Bruckheimer and Ridley Scott's like renown to get there and be like, we forgot that bit.
Oopsies.
But yeah, like I said, this is one of those films that is just like non-stop. It is pretty crazy. Once the action gets rolling, it stays rolling until the very end as they run out of the city. And there's really only a couple of moments of where it finally gets a bit of calmness and quiet. And then it ends up being those moments are the really heartbreaking moments because it's like trying to save someone's life and they can't do it because they weren't prepared properly or didn't have the equipment that they needed, so they can't save people. And that, I think that makes those moments hit more as well.
Yeah, this movie is definitely brutal in a sense that it is so in your face. And it's there's a few movies that are out there that are like that they try to be as realistic as humanly possible. They don't sugarcoat it and they don't pan away from certain things. So this is the type of movie where you'll see a person blown in half and they're just like dangling, their guts are dangling, or like we saw a person have an entire shell enlarged in their body. And like, yeah, it's a very raw kind of movie, I feel, in that sense, but I think it gives it more of an authentic feel. So I appreciate that, actually.
Yeah, I feel like this was one of the first like war movies I watched that wasn't like the war propaganda of like, oh, the American soldiers are the greatest and they're doing everything perfectly and in the end they win. Like this was because it's based on a true story and true events. Like they have those moments where it's like a little bit grey area on what they're doing, whether that's right or wrong, and then obviously when the shit hits the fan, that's when you see like, oh, they're not perfect and things go sideways real fast.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned that scene with the soldier being essentially completely cut in half by the RPG.
Yeah.
That's partially true. I found out it's not 100% accurate.
Sure.
In reality, his torso and legs were only held together by his spine. He survived unconscious for about 2 hours before ultimately passing away. In the commentary for the film, Ridley Scott said he opted to depict it as he did on screen because he felt the audience would not be able to suspend their disbelief if it was shown in reality the way it was in reality, because he's immediately dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, in reality, he was basically just connected by his spine.
Yeah, I feel like when you're a director and you're trying to do like a biopic and you're trying to make it as authentic as humanly possible to the events that you're basing it off of, you've got to pick and choose what's going to come across on film appropriately. So for something that insane to actually be the source material, I think it was probably better that he did that. Just for the sheer fact that it would have been somewhat unbelievable for audiences, and they probably would have felt like it was a bigger like Hollywood exaggeration of what happened versus flipping it.
Yeah, it would have come off as exaggerated, not real. Yeah, but
so it definitely worked in his favor. Yeah, it worked in his favor to do it that way. I think you got a more a better reaction probably from the audience to it, that because it is a shock factor as well. Like this movie has a ton of shock in it, literally.
Yeah. And like you mentioned authenticity as well. Like they got that by sending all of the actors to go and do actual training missions as well. Like, so they sent 40 of the actors who were playing the Rangers were sent to Fort Benning in Georgia to attend a 2-week crash course in becoming Rangers. And then 15 actors playing the Delta Force members were sent to Fort Bragg in North Carolina and given a 2-week commando course by members of the 1st Special Warfare Training Group.
That's a pretty intense and rigorous kind of training, but I'm glad that they did it because, you know, you can tell when films don't do a lot of their homework and when people just take the cheap route and essentially have maybe like an advisor on set saying, oh, that's not how it would be done, do it this way instead, versus sending your crew and cast to actually go and participate and be trained in essentially like a mini boot camp for the most part. That normal people would probably go through.
Yeah, just to at least like take the rawness out of it and give them the foundation so that then you can tweak it on set, not have to completely rerun scenes to make sure they're accurate. Like they've already got a base and then they can just do little tweaks, not big dramatic shifts. And then like in terms of the story, so it starts off with this like haunting opening where we see all of these shrouded dead Somali civilians, which immediately sets the tone of this is going to be quite dark and disturbing. We find out about the lack of food and the context with food aid being so vital in this region, which watching it now 25 years later with the whole Palestine-Gaza situation, like, this is a bit too close to home for now.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're then shown like, okay, these are the mission parameters, this is what we're going to do, and it was so poorly planned out. Like, oh, let's go in the middle of the day, no any like sense of shock and awe and surprise factor. We're going to be seen coming from miles away, and oh yeah, we'll just be in and out in under 30 minutes. That is not how that went at all.
Yeah, it was a very sloppy mission essentially, but again, like, I feel like the military is probably known for doing things that are a little unwell planned. Like, it's a mess. You think everything's going to go well, but in reality, you're like, that doesn't sound smart.
I do feel like this incident probably changed a lot of the military tactics and stuff like that. Like, I feel like these days, if there was a situation like this where there was 2 key members of a opposing force that they wanted to get, and the only time they were going to be together in the middle of the day was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
They would probably just use a drone or a missile strike.
I was going to say
send people in these days. Just take them out.
The technology has come such a far way. Obviously, back in the 90s, they didn't have, drones like they do now that are as stealthy and things like that. So they're able to plan a little bit better, probably, and have a lot less casualties, because the amount of casualties that happened during this event were insane on both sides, really. There were so many people that just,
Yeah, it tells you at the end over
yeah,
1,000 Somali casualties, 19 American soldiers.
yeah,
One of them spent 11 days in captivity before being released.
yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, this went real bad, real fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely it's an insane amount of, the numbers are just insane. Again, like, I feel like that is, there's things that happen, I feel like, almost on a daily basis that people don't know about, obviously, like, for obvious reasons, and they might have changed the way that they do things, but I still feel like they probably have a lot of flaws with the way that they execute certain things.
Yep. And it's just like, it was so obvious that it was going to go bad when the soldiers were preparing, like, oh, you don't need to take water, we're only going to be 30 minutes. You don't need to wear all of the
The
protective gear
gear.
and stuff. Like, we're only going to be 30 minutes. You don't need to take night vision goggles. We'll be in and out before it even gets dark. And so,
Yeah.
looking back, they're probably like, wish we had all that shit.
Yeah, I feel like that is something that they probably don't mess around with anymore, is you've got a standard set of items that
Yeah,
have to go with you
prepare for
every
the
single.
worst situation.
Yeah, we're not going to have anybody get stuck out there with not at least the bare minimum at that point. Like, at least put your back your back plate in on your vest. That way, if you get shot in the back, you at least have somewhat of a chance of surviving that.
Yeah.
Attention, trading card collectors! Are you ready to take your collection to the next level? Dive into the action with the limited edition Australian Wrestling card, showcasing the most electrifying talents Australia has to offer. Imagine owning cards featuring legends such as Robbie Eagles, Shazza McKenzie, Shane Hayes, Madison Eagles, and many, many more. But that's not all. You'll also snag cards of the iconic referees, commentators, and announcers, just like me, Lord Andy Coyne, to truly capture the spirit of Australian independent wrestling. And as our homegrown talent continues to dominate the world stage, OzRest cards are destined to become hot commodities. Not only will you be owning a valuable piece of wrestling history, but you'll also be supporting the amazing wrestlers and talented photographers behind the magic. So don't wait! Grab your Australian wrestling cards now at pariomagazine.com.au/OzRes cards. Order today and kickstart your collection with a bang!
As they're also preparing, we see the idea of superstition and how that's like such a big thing in military sports, all of that sort of stuff, where you see one of the rangers taping his blood type to his boot so that if anything happens, people don't need to, like, he doesn't need to be conscious to tell them it's there.
Yeah.
Another one pre-writes a letter to his family and gives it to one of the guys that's staying on base, like, if I don't come back, send this. And they're like, don't do that, that's bad luck. And it's like, yeah, I'd prefer to prepare and risk the bad luck than not. And then once they head out, you immediately know that this is going to go badly, because as they're flying out, the Somalis are all like lighting tires on fire as like a warning system. It's like, okay, we are so screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely was not an ideal situation for them. I don't think that they were ready for that. I think that they presumed that they had more people that were willing to at least not necessarily help them, but not give away their position to the people that were kind of holding them almost captive in their own city. But, they look at it as, if we don't do this, we're just going to get killed anyway. So might as well just try and do something different, probably.
And yeah, like, you even see some of the soldiers like questioning, is this really how we're going to do this? This doesn't seem like a great plan, but
yeah,
follow the orders.
Yep. And then, people who sit behind a desk are the ones that are always pulling the strings. They don't really see the mass effect that their decisions are going to have on everybody else. But...
yeah, they're not the ones in the thick of it.
Yeah.
In terms of the sort of intensity and realism of the film as well, I thought this was really well done. The wound effects are incredibly graphic. The representation of, like, the physical trauma with those wound effects is pretty nuts. But then you also get a really good representation of, like, the physical and the psychological and emotional toll that this is taking on them as well.
Sure. Yeah. You see them like, you even see like real time like effects of what happens out in the field too, where you have a guy who was fine before, and now because he was too close to a rifle, he's deaf for the rest of the movie, like completely loses his hearing because of the actions of one of his peers. And so, you know, that's the kind of shit that at least from my understanding, that does actually happen out there. That can happen. It's a risk. So the fact that they were able to just like kind of like show that it's not just you're getting bullet holes, you know, on occasion, like getting that, but you're also having other issues to deal with too.
Especially like when that guy like, don't shoot that next to my head. And then 2 seconds later, immediately fires the machine gun this far from his ears.
Yeah, like your intentions were well, because you were keeping him
you
from
saved my
getting
life.
shot,
I didn't die, but I
cannot hear anymore. And so, you know, I think that they did a really great job of depicting the random kind of situations that they can get stuck into, whether it be that or, you know, they have somebody who's unconscious because they were in, you know, the radius of a mine going off, or, you know, anything like that happening. So they did a really great job of that, and just the hardships that go through it.
That soldier losing his hearing is also based on an actual soldier in the real life events named Ewan Bremner, who partially lost his hearing because of all the gunfire. Eventually it did come back, but yeah.
It's a lot.
At least he probably got to go home.
Yeah.
I would have got him out of there pretty quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of not going home in this movie for everybody, and this movie is very raw. They don't hold back on it. They show people getting shot left and right. They show people that are, you know, casualties just because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, they even depict how influence happened, like the influence that the other, like the Somalians have on each other, because you see kids that are wielding rifles that are like 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so it's not just, you don't see it just from the military perspective. You also see it from that side, because you see the kid like shoot his own dad as well. Oh, I'm presuming it was his dad when he thought he was shooting at the soldier. So like, it shows different aspects from all over, and it's very interesting to see the effects that it has on everybody.
Yep. And like, yeah, like I said, 25 years later, this movie absolutely still holds up. It doesn't look dated at all, and that's obviously because of a lot of the effects are practical. There's not a huge amount of CGI. Like even the Black Hawk crash, when it's spiraling and going down, was largely achieved through a real helicopter flying like that and going down.
That's insane.
And then with a bit of CG augmentation. And then just before it hits the ground, it becomes CG, so that the rotors are fake and all of that is computer generated. The dust when they're landing is all CG, because if they'd done that real, there would have been that much dust you wouldn't have been able to see anything anyway. So what they did is they hosed it all down, got the ground damp, and then did the helicopter parts. Sure. And then in post put the dust. Some of the radio chatter in the film is actual radio transmissions from the mission, from the real life mission. And some of the scenes that we see on the screen that the major is watching are actual satellite images from the battle as well.
That's insane that they were able to get that and put that in there. So, I mean, kudos to them. It just makes it that much more intense. And I think that it shows the effort that they put into this film versus like other movies that have come after it that are not probably as great. Again, I'm not like the biggest guru of this genre of films, so I can't name any off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there are plenty out there that are not that great.
Yeah, like I was saying, this is one of those first ones that didn't feel like Hollywood blockbuster. Yeah. Everything goes right, like we are the heroes type thing.
Yeah.
Which made it feel like a lot of modern movies, and the 3 I wrote down that this sort of in recent years that I've watched that this kind of echoes were just last year the movie Warfare came out, which is a very similar thing where it's based on a real event.
Yep.
And that film, it's literally just like 1-to-1 that event. There's no like crazy Hollywood moments. It is just like, here's a 2-hour event where these soldiers got trapped and attacked.
Yeah.
We're just going to show that in the way it plays out. And it's, they like actually had the soldiers come to the set and like run through the whole sequencing with the actors and like were in the groups with them to do it and made it really authentic. So
Sure.
Warfare, I highly recommend. Another one that was really good was 13 Hours, which I believe is on Netflix now. It's another really good one of like US soldiers doing something and then the plan doesn't go to plan.
Sure.
And then how do they escape that? And then The Covenant as well is another really good one of one soldier having to get across enemy territory to escape. And yeah, those sort of ones where it's not like hoorah, big bad heroes type thing.
Yeah, sure. And I think of all of those, I think you made me watch The Covenant, and that's probably the only one I've seen out of that whole thing. That was really good.
I highly recommend Warfare though. It's freaking great. It's very loud and very intense. Like it's like you are dropped into the middle of this battle.
Ugh, that's rough.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a bit intense.
And then, like I mentioned, so at the end of this, we see them go through what is now known as the Mogadishu Mile, where they basically had to run themselves out of the battle and get to safety.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Which is pretty crazy. Like it follows on from like earlier in the movie where they're like, oh, nobody gets left behind. And it's like, yeah, nobody gets left behind, but also we're not going to leave you behind, but you got to get yourself out.
Yeah, it's
we're not going to send anyone else in to help you. Like, great, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those. We're going to say it so it doesn't sound as bad, but pretty much like if you can't find your own way out, there's nothing we can do for you. I'm sorry.
That is one of the scenes where they did use some artistic license. So in the film, it makes you think that they were forced to run all the way back out to the stadium where they had like the compound and the holding facility for all of the soldiers.
Sure thing.
In reality, that's like a dramatization. In the film, it ends with a dozen soldiers running back into that stadium, having run all the way through the city to get out after they helicoptered in. In reality, the soldiers ran to a rendezvous point on National Street. Okay. Which was the total opposite direction of the stadium.
Jesus.
And then got rescued from there. So they did
tweak it.
Yeah, did tweak it, did dramatize it a bit more than any other part of the movie. But yeah, I still like that moment of like, we are screwed. There is nothing we can really do about this.
Yeah.
Well, we've done everything we can. Get yourself out.
Yeah, it's also, I feel like it probably gave again, a bit more like Hollywood shock factor because now you see these people running through this like hostile territory area with nothing except like they're running out of ammo and they have very minimal like armor underneath their out, whole thing. So you don't really know what's going to happen to them because everywhere you look, like every intersection, there's just cars driving by shooting at them and there's people just running after them shooting at them. So you don't really know if they're going to actually make it out or not. You see as they're running, someone falls and of course they don't want to leave him behind. So they pick him up and like drag him the rest of the way because these guys have been going nonstop for almost 24 hours. So they're tired, they're sick, they're shot.
Yeah, it's like the army like got out the injured people that they could. And then from then it's just like, if you can run.
Yeah. Yeah. They just didn't, they did what they could. But like they said it in the movie that there's not enough room for everybody in the Humvees. Like we just can't. Sorry.
Yeah, especially because there was like injured guys that would have been needed to lay down, and they're taking up the entire back seat instead of having 3 guys in it. And yeah, just rough.
Yeah.
Trivia wise, ultimately the movie was pretty big success. Budget of $92 million. Obviously, war films very hard to do on the cheap.
Yeah.
But the box office ended up being $172.9 million. It won
tons of
2
awards, right?
Oscars, Best Film Editing and Best Sound.
That makes a lot of sense because you have a lot of moving parts and you have a lot of sound effects in there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well deserved. I mean, it's a lot. It's a very intense movie, and I feel like these movies kind of they're either going to do very well with like the Academy and the award system, or they're going to do very poorly because they only cater to a certain group of people. They don't appeal to everybody, you know?
Yeah, and I think it was also like a pretty stacked year for
Awards.
movies
Yeah,
that year.
probably.
And Best Picture was A Beautiful Mind,
Okay.
which explains Russell Crowe was offered one of the roles in this,
And declined it because he was already doing A
but
Beautiful Mind.
couldn't do it because he was doing Beautiful Mind, and then
Yeah,
ended up winning an Oscar for Best Picture for that. So probably a good choice.
probably a good choice.
The other films in Best Picture were In the Bedroom, Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring, and Moulin Rouge.
Okay. Oh, your favorite.
No. Best Directing went to Ron Howard for A Beautiful Mind. Ridley Scott was nominated for this. Robert Altman for Gosford Park, Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings, and David Lynch for Mulholland Drive.
That is a very big list of people to compete with. And a very
But yeah, like you look at some of the movies that were nominated, like Beautiful Mind, Black Hawk Down, Lord of the Rings, Mulholland Drive,
yeah.
Moulin Rouge, the Muhammad Ali movie, Bridget Jones's Diary.
Yeah. I feel like Black Hawk Down is almost like like the black sheep of that whole lineup because it's such a unique genre of film, whereas most of those can be like prioritized or categorized into like a drama necessarily. I feel like this, even though it is considered a drama, is a bit more intense on the drama side of things. So, people weren't like running out necessarily to see this ASAP. It was one of those, I feel like it was almost like a sleeper movie probably, that did better as it aged.
Yep. You've also got Training Day was up for awards in this as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of people up
The
there that
Royal
are
Tenenbaums, Memento. So yeah, it was a pretty
stacked here.
busy year for options.
Yeah.
Surely it was in like Best Makeup. Nope.
Oh, effects weren't in there? That's interesting. Or like, I should say makeup effects, but interesting.
Yeah. Best Film Editing went to Black Hawk Down. It beat out Beautiful Mind, Lord of the Rings, Memento, and Moulin Rouge. Best Visual Effects was Lord of the Rings. It went up against AI, Artificial Intelligence, and Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor is one of those movies that I am not a fan of. I feel like that is one of those very Hollywood glorified films, like what you were talking about.
It is. That's
a love
like the
story.
total opposite of this one, where this was gritty, grounded soldiers, boots on the ground.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor was a love story pretending to be a war movie.
A war movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I will stand on that hill forever because it is one of my least favorite movies that's probably ever been done.
yeah. Yeah, it was a good choice for Josh Hartnett to come and do this one and like show that he can do the actual like gritty soldier role.
Yeah, it was almost like a redemption movie for him at that point because he's like, all right, well, this didn't. I mean, I feel like Pearl Harbor was probably well received by some people. I know it got like a lot of accolades and stuff like that, but I feel like for him, probably this was a lot better of a redemption story for him, and he got a lot more respect in the film industry for his portrayal in this.
So then, in terms of a rating, what would you give Black Hawk Down out of 5?
It's probably like a 4 for me. It's just because I don't vibe with it very well, probably. From an outside perspective, like if I were going into it blindly and I liked this kind of movie, I'd probably give it a 5 just because it is so well done. But for me personally, it's more of a 4.
Yeah, I give this a 5 just because, like I said, looking at it now, 25 years later, it doesn't feel like it feels like it could have came out this week.
Yeah,
It
it's
does not feel
a
25
it holds
years
up
old at all.
No, definitely holds up.
And yeah, like it's like I said, it's one of those movies that's like it felt like the first time where we went, oh, war isn't all hoorah, everything goes right, we are the good guys. There are bits of grey, bits of just terrible management and leadership and all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, like one of the soldiers says, heroes don't ask to be heroes. They just have to be because of the situations they're put in.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, that is Black Hawk Down. Watched, reviewed 25 years later. Check it out. It's on Netflix in Australia currently, but it is leaving at the end of the month. So if you want to watch it soon.
Yes.
Because who knows where it'll end up. It could end up on another streaming service. It could end up just being off altogether. And you
For
have
a
to rent
while.
it.
Yeah.
It is for you.
Yep. Currently not available here. Yay, go us.
Yeah, you have to pay to rent it in the US, which is seems a bit weird.
I hate that because it's such an old movie. I hate when they're just like, oh, this 20-plus-year-old movie is still going to cost you $6 to rent on Prime or YouTube. And I'm like, for why? For why?
Yeah, just take the licensing deal from Netflix or whoever wants to pay for it. Just take that.
Yeah.
You're going to make more money that way than renting it to people a la carte.
Yeah, I don't see a ton of people renting 20-plus-year-old movies unless they're like some weird little like fandom thing or, you know, like us rewatching things because we like to feel really old whenever we do these.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Corrina on Instagram at Miss Corrina Renee, and where else?
And at living_dead_books for book reviews and all that other good shenanigans. Yeah, that'd be fun. Getting back into the swing.
And you can follow me on social media at Jamie Ups Media, most places at the moment. And on socials at Pario Magazine as well. That's probably the safest place to go right now.
Currently, yeah.